Deloitte is listed as a sponsor of the Harris School for Social Work in the University of Chicago. Deloitte is also the primary accounting entity involved with the Chicago pension plan from March 24th of 2010. Deloitte was also an auditing firm involved with the Pentagon audit that happened within the last few years, and Deloitte has been very instrumental in providing auditing and accounting services with entities associated with the former Soviet Union, specifically through Russia, that I have been able to find more recently, including in reports they have provided on changes to tax policy that happened during the years of 2016 and since. There's a few things that need to be reconciled here that everybody else is going to need to address. If you really thought that somehow there was a legitimization regarding yourself as involved in the rights of political prisoners, and for whatever reason, people that are identified as being mentally ill in acts of political retaliation so that their estates can be dispossessed of them and offloaded to somebody else, then you're going to need to check yourself. Because one needs to ask, under what circumstances is it ever permissible to compel somebody that has been identified to have a mental disability to engage in sex acts as a means by which to facilitate financial transactional processes? Why are you not just as angry, irate, and justified in promoting the rights of people with a mental disability that are being sexually abused, including sexually abused in abuse of positions of power, including connected to law enforcement or to public office, while they are designated as having a disability? And this is very disingenuous. For one thing, refusing to acknowledge a false claim as being mentally incapacitated because somebody's been subjected to directed energy weapons as political retaliation, and then allowing for them to be misrepresented as having a disability. It's not only frauding people that actually have a disability, but is not actually supporting the rights of political prisoners. And it's certainly not doing anything to bring justice for people that have been politically disappeared, which is a very long-standing issue and challenges the integrity of anybody that is availed of the benefits of the disappeared without actually bringing to light the political implications of this paradigm. And it also challenges the credibility of anybody that declares or presumes themselves to be involved with mental health, whether it be institutionalized mental health or whether it be some sort of harm reduction alternative, including in consideration of self-medication and taking risk associated with self-medication, or sexual exploitation for people that have a state of mind that might be impaired either by drug use or by actually having some sort of cognitive disability. It's completely disingenuous, and this is the major problem. Apparently, there was a different political utility to certain people being declared to have a mental disability than it was for them to be arrested because they were alleged to have been engaged in some sort of crime. And when you do that, what it does is it demonstrates that there was an active conspiracy to allow for certain people to be politically neutralized so that they can be liquidated and recirculated. And then other people to be given a different kind of political status based upon being put within a classification, having actually served in a penal institution for allegations that they committed crime, that then had a different kind of leverageability. And it compromises both. It compromises both people who are actually political prisoners that are lumped in with people that committed crime and knowingly and willingly committed crime with an anticipation that then they would get some political utility and some political capital accumulation by being classed with people that were subjected to political reprisal. And it compromises anything having to do with actual mental health. When you allow people to be subjected to retaliation and gaslighted by so-called professionals who presume to be qualified to actually treat people and be responsible for the welfare of people that are actually going through some sort of crisis or trauma. Giving a misdiagnosis of a mental illness or trying to misrepresent that you're concerned about somebody's mental health, including whether or not they're being treated with medication, because you already know you made a political alliance that does not comport with their political preference, and yet you have a need of their political capital for your own political advantage, compromises the integrity of that professionalism that you're trying to promote as part of your political movement. Next, you need to understand, in the last 2 years, including this year, the Department of Defense appropriations, when it comes to addressing matters related to CBRN, has specifically accepted Bulgaria, Romania, and Ukraine for concerns regarding smuggling, including smuggling of radiological weapons, including nuclear weapons, in a way that no other countries, including African countries, are accepted, at least at this stage. And that was after several years of allowing for the Ukraine specifically to be identified as in a situation where it was in a cooperative arrangement with the United States to decommission the SS 24 missile system, which is different, by the way, than the YAR, right? No. No, 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 no. You don't get to get a kickback through the CDC for a trauma report on exposure to gun violence while you selectively delegitimize women because of their skin color from being in any sort of political leadership as a woman, while you allow for the Department of Defense to provide security underwriting for your alleged political activities based upon concerns that there's smuggling involving those incendiary items originating in countries like Bulgaria and Romania and Ukraine. Right? I mean, if you weren't qualified to actually address matters on this level, then why did you insist on liquidating people who were? And that's why you're going to have to recomport yourself in whatever it is that you thought your expectations were that you were permitted to have in trumping of or overriding anybody else. See, these matters would have already been adequately addressed if there had not been 2 years of intentional backdating of stock and efforts to try to fraudulently recharacterize issues up to and including 30-year bonds from the Department of Treasuries in order to prioritize a normalization and legitimization of narco-cartelization as a replacement for political leadership. Do you understand? We're not talking about healthcare or healthcare cost.